I'm just sitting out here on the deck having my sabadab time. And if you don't know what that is, then go ahead and look it up, because sabadab is one of my best, most favorite videos I ever made. But the other night I was out here, it was last Saturday, today's Monday, and I was just kind of watching the sunset. And I think I must have fell asleep, because I worked pretty hard all the time, and as soon as I sit down, I pretty much start snoozing off. I was like, and I woke up and it was dark, and I went in the house and I sat down and I noticed there was this giant bump on my wrist. And my first thought was, oh crap, I got a freaking Bible bump. Just like Bukka White. But then I realized after a while it wasn't a Bible bump. I could tell that it had to have been some kind of bug bite, because the way that it started to swell up and it got, kind of a little bit itchy and it spread. But it was really big, like a Bible bump, but not quite, as bulbous. It was more kind of a rounded dome-shaped thing, but more flat. But it kind of had a real hard pebble type thing in the middle. And so I thought, well, this can't be a Bible bump, because that's more of like a fluid-filled sac. And we'll get to what that is here in a minute. But then I started getting really freaked out and paranoid, because it swelled up. My whole hand swelled up. And you can see that it still is right now. Here's my left hand, and then here's my right hand. And here's where the bite was. Right about there. See that bump? But it was really big. And it didn't go away very fast. So basically my hand was swelled up it's been swelled up for a week and a couple days now. But I can tell it was getting better. The swelling's gone down. I couldn't even see this vein here the other day, or yesterday even. But I started thinking about it, and I was getting nervous, and I'm like, what if there's some kind of weird rheumatoid thing going on, or some kind of rupture in the joint because I've been claw hammering too much. So the Bible bump, oh, by the way, if you don't know who Bukka White is, he's a Delta blues player, and he's probably most famous for his song Aberdeen, Mississippi. And that's the one where he plays the bottleneck slide guitar with the metal bottleneck resonator guitar. And on Aberdeen, Mississippi, that's the one where he does that slapping thing. So, but the Bible bump is actually, the scientific name for it is a ganglion cyst. And it's a fluid-filled sac that forms. A lot of people say they don't know why it forms, but many people believe that it forms because it's protecting the body, and usually because there's some kind of overuse syndrome going on, usually with a tendon. And so the tendon is moving back and forth, like with Bukka White's strumming. He's constantly moving that, and it puts a lot of pressure and strain and friction on the tendon, and so it builds that little pad in there known as a ganglion cyst to help protect the whole thing and protect the area. And that's what a lot of people think it comes from. But they call it a Bible bump because back in the old days they would get out a Bible and smash it. Now, I know a guy that works he's a boat mechanic, and he was working down at the boat shop, and he developed a Bible bump, and they smashed it with a rubber mallet, because that's what was kicking around. But anyway, I was thinking, oh, I got a Bible bump now. It's more, you know, it's annoying. And if you look back at my past videos, the one where I was talking about Steve, the Spanish parlor guitar, that's where my hand was pretty swelled up, and you can see the bump on there. It's pretty big, and my hand swelled up all over. And so I didn't think it was a mosquito bite or anything, because it didn't behave that way, and it didn't behave like a mosquito or a bee sting or a hornet or a wasp. You know, if you get stung by a bee, within a half hour, an hour, the swelling is up my arm, and it's all itchy and puffy. And this didn't behave that way. It was just, it stayed localized and then started to go down. So I figure it was some kind of real heavy protein peptide toxin. So I think it was a spider. It wasn't a neurotoxin, because my nerves were fine and I could still play guitar and everything and claw hammer, but I could tell that whatever it was digesting the tissues in my hand, like a spider would inject the venom into its victim and then suck the blood out. Fortunately, my body was strong enough to fight it off. And I was getting to the point where I was like, when do you go see a doctor? You know, because it was swollen for a week, and other than, it didn't really itch a lot, but other than, the only problem I had is when I have to wear rubber gloves or something, you know, I take the glove off, it hurts. And then when I put my hand in my pocket, or the dog poop bags, you know, you pick up the dog poop and then you gotta take your hand out, and it was like grabbing on there and it would hurt. That's about all the suffering I went through. But now it's going down. It's gonna go away. But some kind of heavy protein, because it dropped down with gravity rather than rising up with my blood flow. And by the way, I saw this. That's a heat gun burn, because I use a heat gun all the time, and I'm always getting burned with a stupid thing. But I've been talking for 7.5 minutes, and I don't even remember if I said everything. Bukka White had a Bible bump. I don't think he probably might have tried to smash it with the Bible, but then he didn't, because it probably just kept coming back. They say they'll keep coming back because he kept doing the same thing. And I'm happy that I'm not going to stop claw hammering. I didn't get a Bible bump, and hopefully I don't get one. But now there's still like a hard nodule in there. It's going to disappear eventually. I think there's a bunch of forces of evil that want to stop the power of the claw hammer, but they can't. First they tried to drop a kitchen knife on my hand, then they tried to have a spider bite me. Now what? I don't know. Alright then, I think that's it. I'll check it out, see if I covered everything. But you got the ganglion cyst. It develops because of an overuse syndrome going on, and it helps protect the tendon. Mine is not a ganglion cyst, so I don't have a Bible bump like Bukka White. All right, thanks.